no sé si te importa a ti, yo me siento bien desde que nací.
Bien, 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 bien. El tiempo rodeado de cubanos.
Imagínate, man. Yo no sé si te importa a ti, yo me siento bien.
Paul&Tonic, we're live with Casey Hurd. What's up, man?
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has been.
Last time we saw each other was in Menorca or Mallorca, I think, a couple years ago.
Yeah, a little over, I think it was a little over 2 years ago. It's been a little while now.
Was it Mallorca or was it Menorca?
Menorca.
Menorca.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. That was a fun summer.
Yeah, it's always nice being there. It's always a nice experience.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tell me, what's been going on with you, Casey, since last time we met?
Oh, geez, a lot. I don't even know where to begin.
Let's begin from the beginning. So maybe for people who don't know you that well, let me do a quick intro.
Sure.
And then maybe you can fill in the blanks, if you will. Casey is a good friend of mine, first of all. I met Casey many years ago in Amsterdam. And he's an amazing dancer who has had an amazing career, that has brought him from the United States all the way to Europe, to Amsterdam, Salt Lake City, going to ABT, going into Amsterdam, and other companies in between in America, plus a lot of guestings around the world. Tell me something, Casey. How was the experience of a young dancer from Salt Lake City going into ABT? And, let's remember an ABT, which was during those days a much more important company than it is today. It was one of the biggest companies in the world. You went into ABT when Carreño was there, when Vladimir Malakhov was there, when Ethan Stiefel was there, Julio Boca. How was it? A Salt Lake City kid going into the big time?
For me, it was overwhelming. It was an amazing experience. ABT was my dream. Since I was a little kid, I was watching all those videos of Baryshnikov and Julio Boca and all that stuff. So yeah, it was amazing. It was just like, I think I was just about a month ago or a couple months ago, I was talking to Julio Boca, and I was telling him about my first experience there at ABT, turning in a corner and seeing him and Alessandro Ferri rehearsing Romeo and Juliet in the studio was just like a shot of reality, going, oh my gosh, here I am. It was an incredible experience, moving to New York City, young kid from Salt Lake City. It just felt like, wow, it was amazing. It was overwhelming at the same time. It was just sort of, when you move to a big city like that and you join a big company like that, you really got to be prepared. And I was prepared in some ways, but not in others. I think that's why I didn't stay there for very long. It was a great experience. I'm, couldn't be more happy that I had it, but, it was just sort of overwhelming. And I was just kind of eager to, in these big companies, you're the big star coming out of school, but then, coming into that company, you're not the star, you're in the back line,
Exactly.
So, I was a little impatient about that kind of stuff.
For kids, Casey, that are living an experience like the ones you lived, what is the most shocking part or aspect of joining a big company, a company of the importance of ABT, after coming out of a small town, going into the big city, New York, ABT, what is the the most difficult aspect of a change like this? What harmed you the most? What, in another way, made you the happiest with this change? Tell me the two sides, the two poles of a move like this for a kid. How old were you? 17, 18 years old?
18. Yeah.
You were a kid.
Yeah, I mean, especially boys, we don't mature very quickly. 18, I still had the mentality of a 12-year-old when I was 18. When I think about it now,
we still do.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways. Still haven't grown up that much.
Right.
For me, it was all about the responsibility, the responsibility of being in a big company like that and taking responsibility for yourself. You know, coming out of school, you know, kind of your teachers in your school, they really took care of you and they pampered you a little bit. Moving into the big company, it's, you know, you really have to pick up your stuff and get it moving and learn your choreography and figure everything out yourself. You know, you're responsible for yourself in the big company. And that was the biggest shocker for me that took me a little while to really pick up on. You know, I kind of, I was just dazzled by the lights of the big city a lot and didn't quite have enough responsibility to say, okay, that's fun and all, but we have work to do. You know, kind of I got a little party in me, you know, got a little starstruck with that stuff.
Which is also good somehow. No, this makes you mature. This makes you understand things a bit better. Gives you a little bit more perspective somehow.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a learning experience for sure.
Right.
You know, you got to look back on some things and go, okay, let's do better next time. So, you know, the next company I went to, which was Pacific Northwest Ballet in Seattle, you know, of course, I learned a lot of lessons from my experience with ABT and really tried to apply it there. And obviously, I had a little bit more success with it that way.
How long were you in ABT, Casey?
2.5 years. Well, 3 years. Yeah, about 3 years. It was the studio company for a year and a little over almost 2 years in the main company, apprenticeship and corps de ballet.
Did you move up the ranks in ABT at all?
No. I mean, I wasn't in the main company for very long. You know, I kind of got in there. It was it was really amazing in some ways, but in other ways, it was a bit like, you know, it was amazing to see the big stars and to work with those big stars and to be on the stage with them and to be in the Metropolitan Opera House and to do a lot of that stuff was great. And that was a phenomenal experience. But I felt like at the time, the company wasn't really doing that much. And also I think all of the principals had come from outside the company, and being a young kid in the corps de ballet, looking at it going, okay, well, at the time, it didn't look like they were really promoting within the company. Kevin really started to do that a lot more kind of right after I left. He was really starting to promote people like Marcelo Gomez and Jillian Murphy and people like that. But I just kind of looked at it and thought, okay, well, there's probably not much chance I'm going to go anywhere in this company. If you're not a principal, you're kind of like, all right, stand in the back.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was a bit of a strange time in the company. They had a big budget problem. We weren't touring much. We weren't doing any really interesting choreographies, and what choreographies we were doing at the time were reserved just for the principals and soloists. So I just kind of got a little bummed out about that and kind of really
that happens
fall on that level. And then obviously, you know, I really picked it up again after going out to Seattle, kind of revitalizing myself. And there I immediately started stepping into principal roles. I think on my second day in the company, I was third cast for a principal role. So I thought, okay, you know, now they just picked up that process again.
Right. What was it, do you think, Casey? Was it that you were a bit more mature? Was it that New York wasn't the place for you? Was it that ABT, there were too many dancers, too many big stars? What made the change, do you think, from being a corps of ballet and ABT to suddenly moving to Seattle and becoming, you know, a principal dancer as fast as you did?
Well, just learning a little lesson from how I, you know, let myself get down, how I really didn't persevere through moments, you know. Just looking back on my experience with ABT and going, okay, that was good, but it was also not so many good things as well. So now I have another chance to prove myself and to prove to myself that I can do this. And so just, you know, looking at it saying, okay, that was a lesson learned, basically, you know.
Do you think if you'd been a bit older when you entered ABT, this would have made a difference? You would have maybe developed a stronger career with the company in New York?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, had I been a little bit more mature, yeah, I think I could have done a lot better than that. I mean, they liked me a lot. You know, I had been taking class with the company the year before I joined, and I was in the summer program. Kevin really liked me a lot. Everyone loved me as a dancer. It's just, yeah, the immaturity problems up here. You know, that's what was like. You know, Kevin was like, you know, maybe you should think about going somewhere else for a little while. Try a smaller company where where you're going to work a little bit more and do something. So I think he was absolutely right. It was a great experience.
This is a problem that I've seen in a lot of companies all over the world. We have kids who graduate at 17, 18, and enter big companies, first time living alone, first time working, first time many times in new cities, new countries. And there's a maturity thing that just, does not work. I think companies, big companies, should have a stronger grip on how to educate or how to pamper or how to protect kids who are entering, the workforce. They're kids. They're kids. You were kids 17, 16, moving countries, and it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how talented the kid is, but if the kid doesn't have the maturity level to handle all of that stuff, then it's all that talent is kind of a waste. And you do see it a lot, because we're such young people when we get into the workforce, and it's such a demanding career as well, that you really have to have a high degree of maturity. And you saw a huge difference between somebody like I joined the company the same time as Marcelo Gomez. We're the same height, same build, same kind of body, same type of dancer. We were both very talented, but you could see right away Marcelo had the maturity, I didn't, and boom, he went to right to principal, and I went to another company. So
somehow though I tend to think that this is not the dancer's fault, not the artist's fault. I think there's a lack of understanding of what an adolescent is, of what a teenager is. And I think that there should be, more protection of young artists in big companies. That's definitely for sure.
Absolutely. And a lot of companies, I think, recognize that as well. They don't have the resources or the time, the money to really put into those kinds of things. But I think that this growth of all the junior companies around the world, it's like every company has a junior company now. And sometimes that's a kind of a bad thing. I think sometimes you think that these kids get a little bit abused, not abused, but
no, I know what you mean.
They get a little, sometimes the main company takes advantage of that a little bit more. You should be hiring mature artists, but I think overall the vast majority of the cases, these junior companies are that kind of stepping stone that where it gives the kids sort of a sandbox, as some people say, to learn and do stupid things and see and experience what the company life is like. So you have that sort of in between step between school and the main company. There's sort of a preparation step. So I think by and large, the shift that a lot of companies have moved towards in creating junior companies is a really good positive shift. But there's still a lot to do in that area. I think it's very similar to sports as well. I mean, look at all these athletes who get into teams and stuff like that. And again, same thing. You see the athletes who are mature and can handle it, and the athletes who can't. And that. It doesn't have anything to do with talent. It has everything to do with just the ability to handle pressure, to handle yourself in a professional manner, and to not let things really get you down. To be able to push through adversity. I think that's one of the biggest things when I talk to kids that are just getting into companies, especially a lot of these young, really talented kids that are getting into Dutch National Ballet. One of the first things I like to say to people is just don't get down on yourself. Don't let little moments really pull you back and send you into that downward spiral where you don't care anymore. You don't take care of yourself. You act unprofessionally. I said, those are temporary moments. Just push through. Remember to be yourself. Remember to work hard, and that this is just a moment. Just keep working. Don't let these things send you into that spiral downward.
Right. I think that junior companies are doing, a good work. You did in a very nice way a sandbox for kids, but we do understand also the reason of junior companies. It's basically having cheap labor at hand. Basically.
Sometimes it gets that way. Sometimes it's a good thing. I think it depends on how you use it.
Right, and but there's something interesting. You mentioned resources. Many companies do not have the resources for, taking care of these young kids. But I think the resource that most companies lack is kindness. And basically that's it. You have an 18-year-old, 17-year-old kid, be kind to him,
Yeah.
be gentle, educate, do not explode. You know what I mean?
Patient.
Exactly.
With these kids, because
Exactly.
it takes patience.
It takes patience, and we don't. Not all of us, develop at the same time. We all have different biorhythms, and this must be respected, I think. And I think kindness is one of the most important things that big companies, small companies as well, are lacking.
Yeah. I mean, it's that sort of, the ballet masters are really that sort of linchpin in the companies, and being a ballet master is a thankless job. I mean, they don't get paid well. They work insanely long hours. And so, of course, when the ballet master is the person who's in charge of making sure that these dancers are doing their job and doing it right, but the ballet master has no time. I remember getting into ABT. It was like we had 2 rehearsals to learn theme and variations, and of course, I was like, kind of a mess in that area, picking up the choreography very quickly. But that's the schedule of the company, and the ballet master literally has no time to deal with your immature crap. And so it's no fault of their own, because they're really hardworking people. Most of them are really kind people and would love to spend the time to develop the dancer and help the dancer and stuff like that. There's just no time. Absolutely no time. And that goes for just about every company I've ever worked with. The ballet master is it's the toughest job in the company. They just nonstop work. They don't have the time.
Yeah, life's interesting. When you look back, the move from ABT to Seattle and then eventually to Europe, these were the things that had to happen. I mean, the Casey Hurt that is today is because of Seattle, it's because of ABT, it's because of Salt Lake City, it's because of all of these circumstances. What brought you to Europe, Casey?
The Dutch National Ballet. It's kind of an interesting story. I was a principal dancer. I had just been promoted to principal dancer at PNB, and I was really happy there. I had a great life. I loved working with Peter Boll, and I loved the company. Great opera house. I had a great salary, great apartment, multiple motorcycles. I was in heaven up in Seattle, and suddenly the Dutch National Ballet calls and says, "Hey, we're looking for a tall male principal. We think you might be it. Would you like to come and guest with us?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely. Who's going to pass up an opportunity?" Yeah. It was kind of strange. He just called me out of nowhere. I was like, I picked up my phone. I was like, "Hello." Like, "Hi, this is Ted Branson from the Dutch National Ballet." I was like, "Oh, hi."
He is this way.
But yeah, I came out here to Amsterdam as a guest, and initially I thought, I don't know about this. It'd be a great opportunity. I always wanted to go back to a big company like ABT, and I've always wanted the opportunity to live in another country, especially Europe, because I've just always loved Europe. And Amsterdam is such a gorgeous city.
It is.
So one thing led to another. They offered me the job, and I said, okay, I have to do this. I can't. I thought, okay, am I ready to settle down in Seattle and kind of just be? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's an amazing company, but that childhood ambition of wanting to be on the big stage in a big city in the middle of either New York or Europe. I thought, okay, well, Seattle's a bit out there. It's a great company, but maybe I'm still ready to push a little bit further and to go for a bigger career. And in the end, I thought, it's not time to settle down. It's time to push yourself and keep working and get back out onto the big stage and go for it. And never looked back. I mean, I miss Seattle. I miss those people. I mean, Seattle is my family. But I don't look back with any regrets. I love what I did. I love where I am. And this is it.
Yeah. So you went into ABT as a principal. To Head National as a principal dancer.
Yeah.
And how long were you with Head National?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
A lot of memorable roles. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, this company is great. we dance a lot, and it's
you
great.
do that, yeah.
When the company, you're going to be doing a lot of, well, except for right now, obviously, but no, there's a lot of shows, a lot of reps, a lot of programs, a lot of good ballets. You know, just a lot of phenomenal choreographers come in on a yearly basis. It's just, yeah, it's great if you want to work and you want to work with a lot of different people and experience a lot of different styles. This is one of the best companies in the world. It is
a place to be, definitely.
Oh yeah, it's a great place. And yeah, I mean, Amsterdam's great. You're just right in the heart of Europe here. It's a stone's throw away from Paris, London, Berlin, Italy, Spain, you know. So.
yeah, definitely. So you did an amazing career in Amsterdam. That's when I met you. And but then you did something very, very interesting, Casey. After you quit dancing professionally in the company, was there a reason for this? Were you injured? Were you just tired of dancing? What moved you to retire at a young age, Casey? I mean, you're a young guy yet.
Well, I left the company here at 38, and I did a little bit of guesting. I was mostly just traveling and guesting after that. So I finally did my final performance at age 40. So yeah, I thought it was a good time. You know, I could still dance now. I still demonstrate double tours and everything in class. I teach a lot now, so you know, I still demonstrate everything, and you know, I'm still in good shape. But I don't know. I felt two things mainly. You know, there's always a lot of different things, but two things mainly. One was, you know, there's so many young, talented kids coming up who were hungry and just ready to step into the stage and step into their own. You know, there was a long list of really young, talented guys that were behind me, and I thought, okay, I don't want to stand in anybody's way. I've had my turn. I had my time. Let's let another generation come up and do their thing. You know. But also, you know, you get to, I didn't know what I wanted to do yet after I finished dancing yet. I didn't want to become a ballet master. I love teaching, but I don't want to teach full time. You know, it's something I like to do a couple times a week just for fun mainly. But it's not my passion. I didn't have any desire to become a full-time teacher with a major academy or anything like that. So I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I thought, well, I should figure this out while now, you know, now is the time to really start figuring this out. So those two things kind of came together, and I thought, yeah, let's explore what's next in life. Right.
This is how Ballet Rising came to fruition, Casey. Tell us a bit about Ballet Rising. I think it's an amazing initiative. I remember when you called me when we talked about this, we're during dinner one evening. You told me about what you were doing, and I thought it was just crazy cool, and I just congratulate you for what you're doing, man. Tell us a bit about what Ballet Rising is, how it came to your mind, and what you've been doing up to now.
Well, yeah, so it was right after I left the Dutch National Ballet. I was guesting, I was traveling a lot because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life just yet. But I knew I wanted to keep traveling. I love traveling. I love exploring different cultures and people, and I just want to see the world and learn as much as I can about the world and everybody. And, you know, I traveled a lot as a dancer. I guested in many countries around the world, but usually countries where there was a strong culture of classical ballet, obviously. But I wanted to travel to other places like Africa, South Asia, you know, into more rural areas of Latin America. And, you know, the more I would look around, I noticed that there were ballet schools in these places, and there were, you know, really, really fascinating people developing ballet schools and you know, trying to develop companies and trying to build ballet cultures within their own culture. And I thought, wow, what a cool thing that these people are doing. And it reminded me a little bit of myself. I mean, I don't, you know, I come from a small city in the western part of the United States, especially when I was a kid. I talk about my experience as a kid. Salt Lake City was a small city in the desert when I was back in the 80s. You know, now it's a big city. We had the Olympics, and so I just felt, as a kid, I felt so disconnected from the rest of the world, being way out in the desert. You know, and obviously we had a great company in Salt Lake City as well. It's not, you know, the Paris Opera or the Bolshoi, but it was a really nice company. But at the time, I always thought, you know, this is kind of provincial, you know. And so I felt this sort of connection in a way with people that feel far away from the world. You know, a lot of these people that I talk to in Africa and South Asia and Latin America, they feel far away, like in another universe, away from New York, London, Paris, where the big ballet companies are. And so in a way, I sort of identified with a lot of these people. And I thought, well,
Right.
here's an opportunity, because I have a tremendous network of connections. I've danced with tons of ballet companies and great choreographers, teachers, everything. Why don't I see if I can use my network and connections to help these people feel as if they're more connected to the mainstream ballet community, and also to see how the mainstream ballet community can help them, you know, grow and develop. Just support them in any way possible. So it's just all about providing those connections.
Right. And logistically, how does it work, Casey? Okay, you find a little village in Africa. You find that there's interest in classical ballet. You lend your connections to what or which end? I mean, what is the extent of your involvement with these people?
Well, so far, I mean, not tremendously. I've been developing ballet resin for a couple of years now, and I've had the opportunity. I spent my own money to travel to India, Nepal, and also to Brazil. We did a small fundraiser, crowdfunder for the trip to Brazil, but most of it was just my own doing, my own money. So the connection is really just. We've written a few articles. We've done some interviews with people. I've traveled to a couple places to do some short films. But right now it's just mainly about introducing people, just getting people to understand who these people are, just really introducing them to the world and helping get their story out there. So as far as like really making any connections within my network or anything so far, haven't really had much opportunity to do that yet. I'm waiting for the project to get a little bit bigger and to get some funding. So, but thankfully that part is coming along actually.
And the idea would be eventually to help, you know, a little village in Africa or a little village in Southeast Asia or a little village in South America and create a ballet school, create a ballet company eventually. This is the final goal of ballet rising?
Well,
or is it, I'm sorry, to take the kids from these small ballet communities and insert them in big ballet capitals of the world?
Kind of both, but it depends on the timing of it. Like right now, we're not really focusing. I mean, I'd love to get out into some of the more rural areas. So far, we haven't had the opportunity yet. But it's really just about people in different cultures that are far away from the ballet culture. So the idea would be to, I think at first, you know, if I come in contact with people who really want to, you know, go to Europe to study or to the United States to study, then I'd love to do that. But it's really all about supporting communities where there's already an interest in classical ballet. Like I don't see myself as this sort of, you know, person coming in saying, hey, you know, why don't you all study classical ballet? You know, I'm looking for communities that have already found the drive within for themselves. You know, I don't want to go into a community and push my culture onto them. You know, they have to already have found it themselves. And if they want to develop that within their community, then I'm there to help them as best I can. So it's really about their own desire, and you know, once we've established their own desire to do it, then I want to do everything I can to help them grow and learn and develop and build their schools and companies and communities. Right.
That's interesting. I mean, it's basically not a ballet mission around the world. You know, trying to implement ballet for every kid.
Yeah. I mean, some cultures really don't want that in their society, and that's perfectly understandable. You know, people are very protective of their cultures these days, and rightfully so. You know, globalization is really, you know, just I believe in globalization to a certain degree, but it has its negative sides, and some smaller indigenous traditional cultures have really been affected heavily by it. And so I'm not, you know, I'm not in any way wanting to further that process, but there's two sides of the world right now. There's those local indigenous cultures in every society across the planet. Even my country, and people in Utah, they feel like their traditional way of life is disappearing. And of course, if they're having a rough time surviving globalization, then imagine some of the poorer, more indigenous regions in the Amazon or places like that. So it's really about from my perspective, it's really about finding a balance. If I want for people to say, hey, I love my culture, I want to practice my traditions and be true to my history and my place on this earth, then that's great. But other people might want to say, hey, I want to join a more global style of dance. I want to study classical ballet. And I think those people should have the opportunity to do that as well. So we need to find a balance of giving people the opportunity and to study something that's very international, or to stay true to their own style and culture within their region. So I want to position ballet as something that people can study if they want, and that it's perfectly fine. It's great. We encourage it, but we want ballet to also say, hey, we support local styles of dance and local traditions as well. That it doesn't have to be an either or. We can both coexist very well, and I think we can. I think it's perfectly possible. So I think ballet rising could be something.
What would your answer be, Casey? What would your answer be to a parent, in a little island in South Pacific? You go there, you begin talking about, let's not talk about ballet, let's talk about dance itself. And he approaches or she approaches you and says, why should my kid dance? You were a dancer, you're a successful dancer, you're a big star in a big European company. Why should my kid dance?
Well, it depends on why the kid wants to dance. I mean, there's a tremendous number of benefits to dancing, health, social benefits for dancing. I mean, there's mental benefits for dancing. I mean, there's a variety of benefits, not just for individuals, but also for society by supporting art and dance within your community. But, if the kid wants to just study dance, I think those are great reasons to do it. But if the kid wants to study dance for the reason of becoming a professional dancer, well, then that's a career path for the kid, an opportunity to do something that they're passionate about and really engage in it on a global level, on a professional level. So I think there's a multitude of reasons, but I think it really depends on the individual and the individual circumstances.
Right. Now let's focus this a bit more to you. Why did you dance? What did dance give you, Casey? You've devoted your life to dance. You've devoted your life to ballet, to performing. What did it give you? What's the summary of what dance, what ballet created in a kid like Casey Hurd?
For me, it gave me two really big main things a lot of things, but two things really jump out. A community of people where I felt I belonged, and I felt like I had a voice, figuratively speaking, obviously. But, I just felt like there was a group of people that I felt comfortable with, and we all shared this common thing called ballet, and we loved it. But yeah, I think the other thing is opportunity. I was a very introverted kid as a child. I didn't speak. I was very shy. I never interacted with other kids. I was much more happy being off on my own. And everyone, my teachers, my school teachers, my parents, they were very worried about me because they were like, yeah, this kid's just never going to do anything. All he wants to do is sit in a corner and draw pictures. And yeah, it gave me an opportunity to sort of come out of my shell and show the world that I'm more than just a shy kid that sits in corners and draws pictures all day long, that I had something to show people. And it gave me the opportunity to come out and really interact and develop the ability to socialize with other people. So it gave me an opportunity to have a great career. I always dreamt of, one day going off to the big city as I did, you know, and it just opened up that opportunity to do so, to follow my dreams and do what I did. So it was opportunity and community, but yeah, like I said, there's so many other things that come along with it too, you know.
There's a German author called, maybe you know him, called Rainer Maria Rilke, last name Rilke. And one day a young poet asked him why he wrote. And the kid was having, you know, doubts about his writing, about his art. And Rilke's answer was very simple. He said, if you cannot live without writing, you should be a writer. If you can live without writing, choose another path. So this is my last question to you, Casey. Could you have lived without dancing?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I have a lot of interests, a lot of talents. I think one of the, I mean, so as a real roundabout way of getting to your question, I one of the things after I retired from dancing is I wanted to finally really start studying a lot of other things. I think the world is full of so many fascinating things. You know, I always thought after ballet, maybe I wanted to become an architect, or maybe I wanted to, I don't know, there's just, a lot of different things. I was thinking about becoming a photographer for a while. But I love studying history. I love studying psychology, sociology. There's just so many fascinating things. So yeah, I feel like I could have lived without dance. Life would be very different. And as I said, I'm really happy that the way it turned out. But, I've always had a lot of fascinations, and I'm a hobby guy. I have 1.5 billion hobbies. I wish we had 48-hour days, because I would love to spend a whole extra 24 hours studying other things, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, I guess I could have lived without dance, but at the same time, all of those experiences and all that knowledge I've gained from all of these other subjects that I also enjoy, I incorporated those into my dancing. And so, yeah, I think that's really hard to say. That's sort of a, you never know unless you actually were in that circumstance. But
Exactly. Well, I'm sure I'm happy that you decided to dance, because if not, I wouldn't have met you, although we never know, life is a strange, order of events, so we might have crossed paths somewhere,
Who knows?
Anyways, happy to have talked to you, Casey. I'm proud of your initiative, Ballet Rising, and I'm proud of, having you as one of my friends. And thank you, man. Take care. Do well. And cool. Remember the sentence. What is the sentence we always say when we say goodbye?
I drink every day.
Bien. El tiempo rodeado de cubanos.
Imagínate, man. Yo no sé si te importa a ti. Yo me siento bien desde que nací.
Bien. El tiempo rodeado de cubanos.